Hola, mi gente. It's me, the Kaizen Investor, back again with another wonderful interview. Tonight, I am interviewing my dear friend, Chris Lee of Chris Lee TV, and I'm excited to bring him on so he can share all his expertise on all things trucking and the trucking industry. So let me bring Chris in. Hi, Chris. How are you?
Hey, G, how are you?
I'm great. I'm so happy you're hanging out with us tonight.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you so much.
So, Chris, for the people who don't know, can you inform them who you are and what you do?
Okay. So I'm Chris Lee TV on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere. I'm a truck driver. I've been driving for going on 4 years now. And what I do is I put out information to help people get their CDL. I try to bridge the gap of learning between people who don't understand what CDL and like what driving is about, any of the terms or knowledge that may take you a lot of time to gain in the industry. I know that when I started, there wasn't a lot of information out there. So I wanted to make it easier. So I started a blog, I started YouTube, I started posting everything on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, just so people could kind of gain more knowledge and understand. And then it kind of turned into like making products and things like that, where I saw a need mainly for financial literacy, the knowledge of that in the industry.
So, how long have you been driving now?
So I started driving February of 2017. I started a lot of things in February 2017. I started growing my hair out. I began my vegan journey. I started reading a lot and became financially literate. So everything started then.
Nice.
So
Very nice. So, Chris,
mhm.
here's the brass tacks of things, okay? I'm sure you know more than I do. The trucking industry on the gram is a hot topic. Everybody's talking
For
about
sure.
it. Everyone wants to get in every aspect of it, whether it is dispatching, whether it is buying their own truck and using it as an investment tool,
Yep.
you name it, right? You
Mhm.
name it. So I wanted to bring you on because I wanted to hear your perspective on all of this, especially because my peers who have purchased trucks and decided to use it as a asset to generate a stream of income for themselves, which is
Mhm.
fantastic, come across
Definitely.
certain challenges. And one of the
Mhm.
challenges that they have is recruiting and retaining their drivers.
Yeah,
I hear that time and time and time again.
for
And
sure.
so I thought to myself, I have a friend named Chris. I need
Yep.
his thought on this. Chris, what are your thoughts on this issue?
So with driver retention and retaining drivers and keeping drivers, I'll first talk about like why I pick my companies to drive at and why I don't like to hop around.
Mm,
Um, First, it's like kind of a taboo in the industry when you jump from job to job. You have to, on your job application, have the last 10 years of your work history. So if you have like 4 or 5 different jobs on the application from driving, it looks really bad. So it kind of makes it harder to get a job when you jump around like that.
hmm
Um, the companies that I've worked for, I've only worked for 3 companies. That was Stevens Transport, JB Hunt, and where I'm at now, Jordan Carriers. A lot of guys will jump into mega carriers, what they call it. It's like someone with over 100 trucks, or they have like so many trucks. It's like a driver kind of becomes caught up in their system, and it's like they're now a number instead of a name,
hmm
right? With the people on Instagram and things like that, it's more of I think a name and not a number. But with the larger companies, I want to say that. Um, I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question one more time? I'm just.
You're answering it just fine. You're answering just fine,
Yeah.
which is simple. How can someone, if I were to purchase a truck myself and I wanted to use it as an investment tool, and I wanted to find a qualified driver as well as retain this qualified driver for the long haul, all pun intended there.
Yeah.
What are some tips or suggestions? And why have you noticed for some a high turnover rate?
Okay. So like I was saying, like with the mega carrier, it's easier for them to hire drivers
Hmm.
because they have a bigger system. They have a lot more trucks than the smaller carriers, and they have a whole crew of people who are recruiters and go out and go to these CDL schools. They do the online marketing, so it's a lot. They have like a lot of finances behind them to do that.
Hmm.
With the smaller carriers, it's a little bit harder to find drivers, find good drivers, because with the larger carrier, they can run through 100 drivers and keep one third of that, and then put out information and market to get more drivers, right? So they can kind of go through that ebb and flow. A smaller carrier, with the not having the financial backing to do something on that scale,
Hmm.
it's a little bit harder. It's a smaller scale. So out of 5 drivers, you get one, right? And that's not necessarily the exact numbers, right? We're just kind of um, giving an example.
Hmm.
But I feel like when you are a smaller carrier, you have to really. I've never worked for a smaller carrier.
Okay.
I'm more afraid to work for a smaller carrier,
Why?
um, because it's like you're working for someone who might or might not know what they're doing,
Mm.
right? And that's no like ill will or anything towards small carriers. I understand like that's awesome that we're trying to get into this field and that we're trying to make a name and make some money out of it and invest.
Hmm.
And I think that's wonderful. I might one day be a smaller carrier, and that might be an issue that I have one day.
Hmm.
But you have to understand, like, before you even get into the field, that's one of the number one issues is retaining drivers. So there's so many different ways to retain drivers, and we can go into that if you want now.
Yeah.
Um, so as far as like retaining drivers, a lot of issues that drivers have is like uh, one thing I feel like is the biggest one is finances.
Mm.
Another thing that drivers have issues with is a home time. Getting home, that's like a huge thing for drivers, especially if you have a family. So I really try to tell younger guys, like, if you don't have a family, if you have the time to be on the road, it's a lot easier for you to be out here and put in that time, because that's usually when you make more money, is when you put in the time and you have some experience under you. When I first started, I think I was making like 33 cents a mile, and I wasn't bringing home much money. But I understood that if I put in the work, I could eventually, there's so many opportunities, like you said, in trucking. Eventually, I can either own a truck, lease a truck,
That's
invest in
smart.
trucking. It's just so many, you're fine. There's just so
Hmm.
many things that you can do. So I understood that once I put in my time, I would get paid more. So the financial thing, we get paid quite a bit. Trucking, the whole industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry, hundreds of billion dollars. So everything is going to cost, from the tires to the maintenance to the insurance. Everything costs money, and it's not small money. It's lots of money. Like
Hmm.
maybe some people pay like $1,200 to $20,000 a year on their truck insurance. Right? I have the truck that I drive. The tires are different. I drive on a, what is it, super single tire. So 18 wheelers, they have 18 wheels, right? So a super single
Hmm.
might have. Forgive me if I mess up on this. I'm a little nervous, but
You
super
got it.
single, you have like four. You have what, four less tires in the 18 wheeler. I think I said that right. So a super single might cost you $1,000, where one of those dual tires might cost you half of that. So just having all of those, like I said, just being in this industry, everything's going to cost more.
Hmm.
Um, and when it comes to a driver, you're going to get paid a lot more. So if you're working at McDonald's, if you can get a CDL, if you're like behind the register, you can get a CDL, and you can now make like what your manager's making, right? And
Yeah.
that's just off of 30 days of going to school and finding a good job. Um, and so like you'll maybe go and you'll start making like $1,000 a week, $1,200 a week or more. And like I said, you're going from that job where you're making maybe minimum wage to something where you're getting a lot of money. You've never seen this kind of money except for maybe tax time, or if they're giving a stimulus out. But 90 times out of 100, we're gonna blow that money. We don't know how to allocate those funds so that we can um, so that we can plan for the future, so that we can make investments, so that we can do different things like that. And I think that's like one of the main issues when it comes to drivers. Like a lot of drivers they'll get these things called like not a payday loan, but you can get an advance from your
Yeah.
carrier, right? And they live off the advances off the carrier. I'll get advances and then I'll stash them, right? So that's when I can get an advance off my fuel card and I can like get 75 to 100 bucks. What I'll do is just I'll put that in my pocket just to have pocket cash because I put a
Mhm.
tweet out this morning like all men need to have cash because I went out last night and I was like patting myself and they were like, "Do you have cash?" I was like, "Oh my god!" Like I forgot to get cash this week from my check, but I understand so much that I know my check will be, my check will be good. I'm not going to take a lot of money out of my check and then go blow it and do weird things with it. That's one thing that I learned that I feel like a lot of truckers don't do is learn about financial literacy. So
Mm.
we have so much downtime. I learned about it by listening to audiobooks. My first year and a half, I was over the road and I learned about financial literacy. Um, the second thing that I said about like the hard part, I think that was the question, like hard things that drivers
Mhm.
or yeah, the things that drivers go through and why it's so hard is like the family time. Um, Drivers are on the road months at a time. It was hard for me and my family. We had to really figure out how to redo the family thing, like the family
Yeah.
dynamic. It was like kind of thrown in the air, and everyone understood. Like my son and my wife, we understood that I would be gone for long periods of time. Until it happened, though, we really didn't because we had never done anything like this.
Yeah.
So until it happened, we really didn't understand it, and we had to kind of go and learn as we did it. So what we would do is just like talk on the phone, and we would just figure out ways to communicate. I would figure out when I would be home and when I could get out of the truck, and we just made it work. It's really hard, and it's really hard, especially if you have a family. So
Mm.
those are two like huge issues I feel like that drivers have being out in the truck and then like just being different places. Sometimes I feel like stress is a huge thing when it comes to drivers because you're on a time schedule. You have to get things from to B and you have to be on time. That you want to be very punctual in the trucking
Mm.
industry if you want to go far. So trying to keep that standard of being looked at as a good driver, like that is one of the things that qualifies you as being very punctual.
Mm.
So being under the stress of being on time, people calling you, trying to figure out where you are and when you'll arrive to get your load from a shipper, and when you'll be there to unload it at a receiver. It puts a lot of stress on the driver, not being around family, being somewhere every day, being somewhere different. These phone calls and going to do whatever, trying to find spots where all the like truck stops when it's at night and after like 4 o'clock, they fill up very fast.
Wow.
So you've been driving 10, 11 hours for a day, all day, and then you get off, like it's time for you to end your shift. You're looking for parking and there's like all the truck stops are full of trucks, right? And you just
Mhm.
want to go to sleep. So it makes it really hard and really difficult. Like it's such a stressful lifestyle.
Hmm. You know what's interesting? Shanita just said here she says drivers are on the road for long periods of time. This is why my aunt stopped driving trucks. That's
Mhm.
no joke. That's intense.
Yes.
That's
And then your
intense.
health, you have to worry about that. Like I said, I went vegan when I first started driving trucks. I had an experience and it just threw me off and I was just like, all right, I can no longer eat meat. And I'll tell you about it. You look interested. So
I don't know.
you're
Am I
like,
gonna get grossed out? I
yeah,
can't take it.
it won't be too gross. I won't gross it out too much. But at Stevens Transport, we haul refrigerated goods, right?
Mhm.
So we would go to like California and get like strawberries and all kind of stuff. But to get to California, we'd have to bring a load out of like um, where are these states? Like they're in the middle of the United States. I don't have a map on me right now,
Okay.
but like the meat patch is what it's called. And we would go like to Arkansas and go to Tyson and stuff like that and pick up meat to take to like California, so they could take it to Japan, put it on the ship, and take it wherever. Excuse me. And I was with my trainer and we were driving, and I had just smelled something really weird, and I had never smelled it before. And I was like, "What is that horrible smell?" And he's like, "If you look to the left, there's a truck full of chickens." And then I looked, and it was like chickens, and they were like all cooped up in the cages on the trailer in the back of the truck, and there were like feathers flying everywhere and stuff dropping out of the truck. And I was just like, "Oh." Like that's what the chicken looks like before they take it to Tyson and process it and make it pretty in the package. And I was like, well, I think I'm gonna stop. He was like, what? And I was like, yeah, I think I'm done. And it's
You're
so
done.
easy for me to say, like, if I'm done with something, like I'll just cold turkey stop it and I'm done. And
Okay.
from that day, I was just like, no, like I don't consume any animal products after that. So
Clear. All right. Noted. Noted. I understand. I
yeah.
understand. But that kind of segues into, I want to answer this question. And I also want to segue into the brand that you started about being a vegan trucker and how that
Hmm.
helped you in your career. Because I think that's something that's so helpful to others. But I want to answer Shanita's question. She wanted to know, do you think it's safe to sleep at truck stops? What are your thoughts?
Ooh,
Mm.
um, that's really a good question because
Hmm.
in the past, there have been so many things that pop up on the news where people are killed at truck stops. Like I've seen where women are like found in their truck dead, men are found in their truck dead, and that stuff is it's really unfortunate, and it's part of the industry, and it's like unfortunate that we have to say that that is part of the industry. And I don't want to like seem like I'm really cold or anything like that, but I don't let anything stop me from doing what I have to do for my
Hmm.
family. And this is just something was that we had to sacrifice for us to get to the next level in life. I've been to New York. I've been to um, Los Angeles. I've been to um, Opelika. I've been to these places where a lot of people go in and don't come out, right?
Mm.
And I've had to park in these places on like the side of the road and sleep because like I said, you run out of time. I've gotten out and I've been to like um, what is this place? Like just different places in California. Like I remember um, like in California going through downtown LA and like just seeing how like nasty it was. I'd never like seen anything like that. And then like New Jersey, it's like I don't like New Jersey at all. It's like the worst state for me. It's just like it's so dark and gloomy and it's just like so much smog and it's just really weird. But that's part of the trucking lifestyle. You have to prepare yourself for that. You have to understand that that will be like what you will live for whatever period of time. Some people
Mm.
enjoy it. I mean, there were times like just to lighten the mood, I would go to Miami and I would like go to the beach and I would go to Chicago and I'd go eat vegan food at restaurants and I would go to, just explore different places around the country. And I would never have been able to do that if I didn't get my CDL and start
Mhm.
driving trucks and, do it to where I'm still, what I'm saying? I went into it and you have to respect these trucks because it's it's like so many components to the truck. I take it as like you're the captain of a ship, like you're the pilot of an airplane. Like it's that much of responsibility because not only are you responsible for you and the truck, but the other people are on the road. Like that's your
Yeah.
main responsibility, right? But like I said, there are like pros and cons. There you just have to look at it a certain type of way, and I guess I looked at it that way.
I hear you. And Shanta made an excellent point. She says we must take care of our families by any means necessary. My uncle drove trucks when I was a kid, and his income helped our family a
Hmm.
whole lot back then. Yeah, seriously,
For sure.
seriously. My uncle said he encountered a lot on his different routes. Yeah, it's no joke. However, here's my other follow-up question for you, which is this. In my research, I found that the average driver drives from a period to 5 to 10 years, and if they pass that 10-year mark, they'll go on even further. So one thing I appreciate about your YouTube channel is the fact that you're constantly educating people, drivers, on financial literacy and the fact that they need to always have an end goal and the fact
Yes,
that they need to manage their money and have a plan with their money.
for sure.
Can you elaborate on why that's so important to you and how you teach that to others?
Oh my gosh, yes, I can. Okay, so when I came in the industry, like I said, I didn't have the knowledge, I didn't have anything, and then I would look at other guys, and I would be like, I would hear stories, and I would talk to guys on the road, and truck drivers will talk your ear off. We'll talk your ear off because we don't talk to we lose that that society, right? We're
Yeah.
not into like normal society anymore. People have to actually like truck drivers are mainly loners, and we like to be alone. We like to be in our thoughts and stuff like that. So when we get around someone, we might just run off at the mouth and just they'll tell you anything. That's what I would hear is like I've been driving. I think there was. I'll give you like one case in point. I was talking to a driver. He was one of a bed bug. He's like he would and that's a like slang term for a mover, right? So he was driving for a van line,
Oh,
like
okay.
okay. So they move people from state to state. He had I think his grandson with him, and they have these huge trucks. The van line truckers usually have like big trucks. They're like I forget what they're called, like super sleepers or something like that. And they're like you just like a regular truck, and then it'll be like elongated, so you can actually walk around, and there are like more amenities, and there might be like a shower and a toilet in there. So he was telling me like I've been driving. He told me he'd been driving for so long, like for a long time, and he was going to get out of the industry and like start a smaller moving company with box trucks like that. But that
Mhm.
was something I like that kind of motivated me to be like, I would hear stories about guys um like just going to work, and they're like older men, and they would go their normal route, and they wouldn't show up back to work because they would have had a heart attack at the wheel on the route, and like no one would know anything, and guys coming in and wanting to buy a truck and having to drive 10, 20 years and never being able to own or buy a truck, or what I'm saying, not have their credit right. There's so many things in the industry that will hinder you if you don't know where you're doing. Like some of these leases, if you don't know, like it's like a no money down, no credit check, and we'll lease you a truck. And, and like there are instances where some guys lease a truck, and you have to pay on that truck for like 10, 11 years, and like sometimes you have to have a balloon payment at the end of that uh,
Mm.
lease. And if you don't have that money in the clauses in the contract, they can take the truck back away from you. Like the day that the contract is up, where you have to have that money, if goes a day over that, like they'll take the truck back from you. And I just don't understand. I didn't understand why we made so much money and there was um, no real retirement. There was no real investments. There was no none of these things were talked about. And I was just like, how do I avoid that? Because I don't, obviously that's not somewhere I would like to go. It's like drive all these years and have nothing at the end of it to show that I didn't accomplish anything.
Yeah.
That doesn't sit well with me. So all of what I came to understand came from, like I said, reading books and listening to Audible and talking to these guys and figuring out like what I can do to circumvent that. Like what can I do to avoid those things that these guys are doing? That's where I started just looking into stocks, looking into real estate, looking into different businesses. Myself, I own like several stocks. I have like Acorns and M1
Mhm.
and like Stash, right? Where I just money comes out every month, and I have a vending machine. I have three vending machines that my wife runs. I rent my car out. I have my financial planner. I have my courses and consulting, and I'm working on some more products and services that I can offer online. I'm going to start doing that
Mhm.
next year, and I'll talk about that next year. But I want to help guys who are looking to start a trucking company, just like get up and running, make sure that they're able to get funded by having a website with all the right things on it, and
Mhm.
just just different services that I do for myself that I see where there are some gaps to fill in the industry. But yeah, I like I said, I have my planner right here, and I'll shamelessly plug that. But
I
this
need
is
you
my
to plug
beautiful
that.
planner, um, and that I made that to help, right? To help guys track like um, not only is like the money an investment, but your what you're putting in your head, like what you're investing in for yourself, your like you said, your wellness, what are you eating, what are you investing into, like your body, what are you like all that matters, right? It's
Yes.
not just about me investing in like vending machines. It's about me making sure that I work out and drink water and um, just where I'm able to do this job the right way. Because a lot of guys have back problems in trucking. Like that's one of the cons.
Wow. Wait,
Like
pause, pause. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You have a happy customer here. Toya said, I bought your planner. I used it and
what?
I love it.
Why didn't you tell me that? I wish I knew that. That's so
That's
awesome.
so dope.
Like I said, I don't know. I know people buy it, but I don't know who they are, and not
Because,
Amazon doesn't
okay.
tell you who buys stuff.
Okay, but here's what I need you to explain. I don't think you have broken down well enough why the planner is so important. Okay.
Hmm,
So for those, I'm just gonna QVC this for a second. Because the one thing
I'm
I
very
appreciate,
familiar.
yeah.
My grandma used to watch QVC all the time, and I'd be in the room playing with my race car. So we
So
about to
one of
get it.
the things I appreciate about this planner that I have seen, I have yet to purchase it myself, not gonna lie. But one of the things I appreciated talking to Chris about this planner is the fact that he is able to break it down for someone who is not familiar with financial literacy budgeting. Because once again, when you experience, and that's what I appreciate about this planner from you, Chris,
Hmm.
the fact that what you said is that if a person comes, the average person may have been making minimum wage, then they get their CDL. Like you said, in 30 days, they come from making minimum wage to having this windfall of money,
Yeah,
windfalls of money. And if they do not know how to manage that properly, they can be in the hole and in the negative quick, fast, and in a hurry.
very fast. It happened to me. I'm not gonna lie. Like
Mm.
I know one of the times, like I came home and somebody was in my mom's neighborhood, like robbing her neighbor's truck, right?
What?
And she was like, "What are you doing?" He was like, "This is my car. I'm just getting some things out of it." And she's like, "No, that's definitely not your car because that's my neighbor's car. You need to back up." And like
Mhm.
he left, and my mom told me that, so I came home and immediately bought her a gun. I don't care what I got paid,
Mm.
right? I was like, "We going to the gun store today." Right?
Mhm.
And that's like $600-700 just right there. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And as a new CDL driver, that's quite a chunk of change, especially me not understanding my finances. But I would spend money on things like that. Um, when I first started trucking, and I'm sorry to go on to this, but when I first started trucking, like I had to come home because my apartment caught fire,
Oh wow.
and it caught fire like, actually twice in the same week. And I have a video about that on my YouTube channel. Like there were some issues that we had, and like someone was smoking on our balcony, and I wasn't there to be able to, you know, what I'm saying, say if it was right or wrong. But I had to get out the truck, and if those wheels aren't turning, then I'm not earning. So I had to stop
Mm.
all of what I was doing, come home. They actually kicked us out. So we had to move all of our stuff out. I'm home for like 2 weeks. And by this time, I'm like a lease driver. So I'm lease purchasing a truck. And
Mhm.
I'm responsible for everything on that truck, the fuel, the insurance, the payments, that all comes down on me. So I had to come home and take care of like real life stuff, and then still have to get back in the truck and catch up on those payments, right?
Mm.
So had I known to pay myself first and have an emergency fund, then it could have went a lot smoother. But I had no knowledge of that or how to do it.
Hence the planner.
Hence the
No,
planner.
hence
Yes.
the planner.
Okay, so I'll get into it just a bit. This is the financial planner for truckers.
Mhm.
I mean, you can find it on Amazon. It's actually on sale right now at chrisleytv.com for $9.99, and that's for the downloadable PDF version, not the hard copy. I prefer the hard copy because you can look at it, you can touch it, you can write in it, and I feel like when you write things out, I started writing out my goals, and they became true. Right?
Yep.
I have my goal book right here where I write all my goals, and then I have my actual calendar planner where I write out things like this wonderful meeting that we're having.
Mhm.
But when I'm driving and I'm over the road, I might need to plan out my trip. So where I'm going, the date of the trip, arriving in my arrival, my departure, and the time I'll get there. Just things like the city, state where I'll be at. So say someone asked me where I was on a certain date, July 3rd of 2018 at 9 a.m. Did you deliver this load? We don't have the paperwork. Well, yes, because I have it in my planner. I can tell you where I was that exact date and time. Then I go to like your weekly goals, how you can improve on those goals and things like that. And then I have like little quotes in there to motivate guys who are doing this stuff. Weekly income and expenses, I break that down from miles fuel. If you are like leasing a truck or anything like that, because I felt like they, I was just really thrown into a leased truck, and I'm not mad at it. I like to learn the hard way, unfortunately, and I have like the scars to prove it.
Mhm.
But that's just how I learned. But I don't like to relearn that same way,
Of course.
right? So that's why I made this.
I like that.
But yeah, if you want to
That is
look at it
brilliant.
anymore, just like I said, you can download it now on my website or get the hard copy off Amazon.
Oh, that is genius. Look what Toya said. This is Trucking with Miss T who purchased your planners.
Yes.
But look what she said. She said, I gave the planners as gifts to my drivers.
I hope they're using them. That is
That's
dope.
so cool.
Yeah, that is so dope.
That is so cool.
And that's you. Look, that's the part of driver retention right there that we were talking about. How do you retain your drivers? You let them know that you care about them in more ways than one. Not only are they driving for you to make you money, and now they're driving for you and they understand that you want to make sure that they're successful.
Yeah.
That's like from the heart thing, right? So that says a lot about Miss T.
Mm-hmm.
Miss T?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And
she says they love them. They love them.
Awesome. That's Tanya, okay. Tanya.
Trucking with Miss T. That's her IG. That's my sweetheart. But here's my thing, though. You said something really powerful, which is the fact that you had some unfortunate circumstances, but because of the nature of your job, if the wheels aren't turning, you are not earning.
For sure.
That's powerful right there, my friend, because for some people who do not understand the need to have other streams of income, it hits when you have experience with that.
Yep.
So when it comes to your real estate investments and your vending machines, what came first, the chicken or the egg? What came first? That's
a good question. Because I think, I had been talking about like my cousin, because it's my aunt's, my great aunt. It's her house.
Mm-hmm.
My cousin was selling it, and I saw on Facebook one day that she was selling it out of the blue, and I was just like, I'll buy it. And then she was like, oh, this and this and that, and this is what's wrong with it. And then I was like, I don't want to buy it. And then like I talked to I can't remember his name right now, but it's one of my one of my associates. I met him off of a podcast, off of a Todd Millionaire podcast, and like one day I was just driving the truck, and I reached out to him. I was like, "Yo, what you're doing is dope," and he was like, "Bro, I've been meaning to reach out to you to tell you what you're doing is dope." He was like, "Call me," and I was like, "Bet." And we got on the phone, and we were just like, "Yo, like it was really a great, you know what I'm saying, connection. It was a really dope conversation." But he was like, whatever you need in real estate, like whatever questions you have, let me know. And I was
Mhm.
like, bro, same. And that's how we like built our relationship. And like I told him, because we would just call and just check up on each other. And I told him, I was like, bro, I've my my cousin is selling this house, and I'm like so conflicted on if I should buy it or not. He was like, how much is it? And I was like, 5,000. And he was like, buy it. I don't care what's wrong with
Yeah.
it. Buy it.
That's
I was
funny.
like, I felt like so not
What was the
myself.
house?
Where is it? It's
What?
where it's in Saginaw, Michigan, where I'm from.
Okay.
And I grew up in this house, so it was dope being able to do something like that. Like, and he was like, bro, even if I have to come up there and show you what to do, like buy the
Yeah.
house. I was like, all right, I'll do it. So I did it. And I'm not looking to like do anything with it now,
Mhm.
but I'm saving up to when I do need to do it. Like I didn't know anything about like the taxes on the house. Like there were back taxes on the house, and like I spent a pretty penny. And
Mhm.
I'm not tripping off of it because I'm sure it'll pay for itself in the long run.
Good.
But
Mhm.
I had to figure out like how to get the grass cut. I was calling people up like I'm calling family. I'm like, yo, I need help. I'm
It's
trying to get
all a
this
learning
grass cut. I need
experience.
somebody to go look at the roof. I need somebody to go check on the house. I was like, man, nobody would, you know what I'm saying? Nobody would send me pictures. Like, I need somebody to send me pictures. Nobody was like, everybody was, I guess, had their own thing going. And then, like, my cousin was like, the neighbor is looking for you. And I was like, oh, for real?
Oh.
She was like, yeah, the grass hasn't been cut. Woo doo woo doo woo. And I was like, all right, let me call him. A month went by. Let me call him. 2 months went by. Let me call him. And I'm just like, what do I say
Nice,
to this
nice.
guy, right? So I'm just like, all right, let me call this guy. You know what I'm saying? His wife is like, there's critters in the yard and stuff like that. They
Oh
weren't happy.
no.
So I called him, and he was like, hey, what's up? And I was like, hey, how's it going? And he was like, yeah, well, so what are we going to do about this? And I was just like, well, I don't want any issues with you. You tell me. And I was just like, I remember you guys, like, we used to be at the house when I was growing up. I actually grew up playing with your sons and stuff like that. And he was like, oh, yeah. Um, he was like, yeah, my sons, they're good. They're at college and they're doing this and they're married. And we just been here and we just start talking. And he was just like, and I used to cut the grass for your aunt, your great aunt, when she was here. And I didn't have any, we never had any issues. She paid me
Mhm.
this amount for the year and I would go cut the grass. And I was like, well, is that offer still on the table? Like, can we work something out? And he's like, yeah, send me some money, send me the check. And you know what I'm saying? I'll send you some pictures of the house and I'll send you pictures when I cut the grass and all this
Beautiful.
other stuff. And I was like, great. Like, I don't have to worry about that now. Because it was just, like I said, once I learned about how to be more financially literate, I could have funds allocated to do things like that where I'm not
Yeah.
trying to hustle up and just wreck my brain on like, oh, you want money? That's like, you want money? Like, you don't want me to come up there and shake your hand. You want me to get a flight. You don't want me to do this, do that. You want money? That's easy, right? That's the
Mhm.
easy part. So here.
Nice. Now, I want to segue a little bit back because the one thing you mentioned, but you didn't really highlight, was the fact that you yourself are a online CDL coach, correct?
Mhm.
What does that look like, and what does that entail?
It's wonderful. It's like not a whole lot of people, and I don't mind it. Um, Guys reach out to me. Um, they hit my inbox. They're like, "Hey, I have this issue. I'm having trouble parking. Can you give me some tips? Hey, what does orientation look like? Hey, what should I get paid?" And so that's why I made my course, the ultimate guide to getting your CDL. Trucking for Boss is the ultimate guide to getting your CDL. I'll break down
Mm,
all those questions, all those concerns in my course. You can find that at Gumroad. It's also on my website, chrisleytv.com.
mhm,
Um, but I broke all that down in the course. What the guys who bought the course, I really give them my time. I really give them whatever they want because that's my job now. If I'm going to sell you something, then I need to make sure that what I'm selling you makes you successful, right? So I had a guy who out of Florida bought my course, and he like I have a plan in there, like a career plan, like how you can plan out your career, and I have just like tons of resources. And he started filling out those forms. And I'm like, nobody's filling out these forms. Like, and he sent it to me. He's like, hey, this is my plan. And I was like, yo, that is so dope. Excuse me.
Hmm.
I was like, yo, that's so dope. Like, here's my number. Call me like whenever you have an issue. So he would call me like whenever he had an issue with the truck. I'm like, hey, okay, that's cool. Like, that's what you paid for it, right? And I'm just like, he went from being getting a CDL. I got him through getting a CDL, and then I got him to his first company. And then he started working on his second company, because your first company is not always going to pay you the money that you want. You're not always going to get treated um, how you want to be treated. Like, I understand
How does
why.
one want to be treated?
Okay. So he wanted to be respected. He didn't want to call dispatch and them not know what was going on. He wanted better equipment, because I think his truck was in the shop for a long period of time, and
Mm.
that also stops him from making money. Not only does it stop the trucking company from making money, it stops the driver from making money. When a truck breaks down often, and um, that happens a lot when you're not taking care of your equipment, whether it's new or old. New trucks break down, old trucks break down, but you
Mm.
have to do your preventative maintenance on the truck to make sure that you're ahead of that breakdown. So I guess the company that he was at really didn't cater to the truck. It really didn't just do things to where they're supposed to be doing. So he was like, I'm looking for somewhere else. I'm looking for somewhere better. So when you're looking for another company, a lot of the times it's like drivers, like I said, we cluck, like, and we talk to each other, and we, you know what I'm saying? Just do, 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 do.
Hmm.
Where are you driving at? How much you getting paid? Oh, you getting paid that? Oh, let me see your check. Like, just stuff like that.
Hmm.
So he started talking to drivers, and he's like, okay, I see this company over here. They're paying a lot, and I'm thinking about going over there. So I'm like, all right, cool. You've been driving for 3 months. You might need a little bit more experience, but just try and apply, and we'll see what happens. So he applied. They're in desperate need of drivers. Drivers with less experience, you have to pay a higher insurance rate for those drivers, right?
Hmm.
So they needed like drivers, I guess, that bad, where he had 3 months, and they were like, okay, we'll take you and we'll pay you what we would someone who has the experience that we're looking for in a
Wow.
driver. So he like jumped up so far ahead of, like, you know, me. He jumped so far ahead of other drivers who have 3 months of experience without, you know what I'm saying, without any issue. And he started making some really good money. Mind you, he's like financially savvy, and
Hmm.
he's like, I'm listening to you. I'm cutting all my expenses. I don't have a car. I don't have an apartment. I live on the road. I don't have any kids. I'm out here to make money. So,
Exactly.
so now he's at this company, and he's like, okay, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. So I'm like, the first thing you need to do is your emergency fund, and then we need to get $10,000 saved up. So once we get those two, then come back and talk to me, right? So
Hmm.
it's like I'll give them something to do, and then like when you reach that goal, then we come back and we kind of talk again and see where the next thing is. So we've been doing that for a while. I think he recently, because at the new company, there were people who didn't like him because
Mm.
he had that 3 months of experience, and like they had driven for the company, but now they're dispatching for the company. So they're kind of jealous. They're like, okay, this guy had no experience. He came in, he's making the money that I used to make when I was driving, and I needed to have 2 years of experience to come to this job. So there was like a little jealousy there with the dispatchers, and they didn't treat him the way he was supposed to be treated. So he stuck it out, and I told him, stick it out and just get the money for right now, right?
Hmm.
Because what they want, what they wanted him to do was drive. They had the loads, they had, you know, the work for him. So I was like, stick it out, bro. I promise. Like, just stick it out, because the money is there, and figure out what you want to do when you get the money. So recently, he's told me that he wants to own a truck.
Hmm.
I I'm not for owning trucks. I don't like owning trucks. I don't like the thought
Why?
of owning a truck, because it's just so much of a headache that we're talking about right now. Just finding drivers, the maintenance, the insurance, the breakdowns. Um, and I've leased a truck. I leased two trucks, and I was just like, you know, it was just so much. And one of I'll say this publicly, one of the people who I feel like is a mentor to me is Erica Williams. She's
Hmm.
how I got really with this mindset. Like she helped push it further than like the audible audiobooks
Yeah.
because she was a real person, right? She's like, who wrote The Richest Man in Babylon? Is he still alive? Hopefully, but I don't think so, right? And that's my favorite book. I read that book like
It's an
50
excellent book.
times. But Erica Williams is here, right?
Yeah.
She's with us, and hopefully she's with us for a very long time. But um, she would talk about getting out of debt and getting your credit. This was like I didn't catch her at
Way
the
back
beginning,
then.
but I caught her at this period when she was really into getting out of debt, getting your credit right, and getting your business and getting those multiple streams of income. So I latched on, and she brought me on her show, and I got to take her out to eat, and I just really got to see that she was a real person, right? And that was just like something that she might not know or understand, but it made a huge impact on someone, I guess, that was impressionable, right? I
Hmm.
think that's the right term to use. Like I was
Yeah.
looking for, you know what I'm saying, someone outside of the truck who I could get that like real like you're real. So
Yeah.
it was dope.
That's awesome. Shout out to Erica Williams. Yeah. Erica's phenomenal.
Definitely.
Erica is phenomenal, most definitely. So tell me this. Oh, I'm sorry. I missed Enchanta's
I hope I answered
comment.
your question. I just be rambling.
No, you didn't. She says, yes, stick it out. The rewards will come. Most definitely, Enchanta. Most
Oh yeah,
definitely.
that's what I was talking about. The guys who so like I said,
Hmm.
he's trying to own a truck and that's his next step and that's the next level. So that's what like mentoring and coaching looks like. There's another kid that I got. He was like following me on Twitter and he's like 19. He had just graduated high school and he lives in San Antonio. And
Hmm.
he was like, "Bro, I've been watching you on Twitter and following you and doing what you said. And I'm 19 and I just got my CDO."
Wow, that's powerful.
That's huge. It was huge, and I was like, okay, I have to get this kid now. Like I have to keep this kid close
Yeah.
because he's different. So what I did was like I was like, okay, let me send you something. I sent him a headset, like a Bluetooth headset that truckers always have. So I was like, let me send him something so that he's not on his phone and he can, you know what I'm saying, and he can understand that he's doing something and someone needs to reward him, show him
Yeah.
that, you know, what I'm saying, that positive reinforcement. I went to the school for behavior analysis, so I had to give him some positive reinforcement. So his first job was another one where they had bad equipment and you know they didn't have enough hours, they didn't have enough work, they weren't paying him good, but he was hauling dirt out there in San Antonio. And in Texas you can get your CDO at 18. You
Wow.
just have to drive intrastate, and that means that you can't leave the state of Texas. There's interstate where you can drive in the whole entire country,
Hmm.
and there's intrastate where you cannot leave, and that's like people like class B drivers, class B CDL drivers. And like there's also a weight restriction on that. I think it's 26,001 gross. But he got his CDO at 19. He got the job, and then like I'm walking him through the same thing I did with the first guy. I'm like, okay, just stick with it, get the experience for a little bit, and while we're here, we're gonna look for a better job. So he finds a better paying job doing the same thing. He
Hmm.
loves it. The environment's a lot better. He's like making friends, and you know what I'm saying. There are actually guys who are experienced. They are like, unfortunately, like one of them rolled over, like they
Oh.
rolled the truck over. And I was like, boy, that makes you look so good. Like, unfortunately, because you're the new guy, right? You're the new guy, and like they're rolling trucks over. Like Jesus Christ. But I'm like, all right, $1,000. What's your credit like? His credit's A1, like 700s. Oh, but don't be lurking through my page and trying to find my guy. But you know what I'm saying? And I gave him the same goals I gave the first guy, like $1,000 A1 credit and get, you know what I'm saying, at least 10 grand saved up. He lives with mom and stuff, so it's a lot easier for him.
Yeah.
And he wants to buy a house. So I'm just like, bro, you can do whatever you want. Like whatever you want. Like you're going to be the biggest boss, right? Um, and I'm just like, whatever you need, I'm here to help you. I'm here to guide you as long as I can. Like, be a guidant light to this guy or to these guys. Like, I'll do that.
That's huge, Chris.
for sure.
Seriously, that's huge. Because what you don't recognize what you're doing is you're doing the same thing Erica did with you,
Ooh,
right?
wait. Okay.
It's the truth that those simple things help people to dream bigger. It helps them to see what is possible for them. And as I said last night on a live I did, exposure is powerful.
Oh, I caught some of that when I was leaving the fire.
Exposure, yeah, exposure is powerful. And sometimes it's not about having the long, deep conversations with someone. It's just speaking with someone and showing someone what is possible to them and speaking to them with confidence.
Hmm.
That's it. Sometimes those simple things leave an indelible mark on our hearts. That's powerful right there.
I
That's
understand.
powerful, Chris.
Yeah.
And additionally, the other powerful thing that I appreciate that you do is many people who start in the trucking industry as drivers, as you mentioned before on your YouTube channel, come from unique circumstances. Some,
Hmm.
some. Um, so if you don't have a plan, what am I? What's the best way of saying this?
If you
I guess
don't
it is.
plan to win, if you don't have a, what is it? I
Yeah,
understand what
if
you're
you don't plan to win, you plan to fail, right?
saying. Right.
That's the key. That's the key. So giving them structure and plans and what to do with their money from jump,
From the
you are
jump,
helping them out tremendously.
for sure. And
Tremendously.
that's what I wish
Because
I
the
had.
thing is that financial literacy is we assume that it is common knowledge, but it's not.
It's
It's
not.
not. Sadly, it is not.
Very true.
Ooh, play to win, plan to win. Ooh, I like that. Yeah, exposure is powerful. Exactly, Enchanta. So, Chris, this was cool. This
It
was
was.
cool, Chris.
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging out with us
No
tonight.
problem. No problem. It's a pleasure. Truly a pleasure.
So, Chris, where can people find you?
Okay, so obviously I'm on Instagram at ChrisLeeTV. I have my website, www.chrisleetv.com. It has a link to all my socials, my Twitter, my YouTube. All my courses and products are on my website. I actually just started a trucking health and wellness group on Facebook. Um,
I like the
and it
sound of
was
that.
an idea. It was your idea. And
Hey, you don't have to tell me. Yeah, I just love that you did it. I'm excited for you with that. We'll
yeah,
talk about that later.
the PDF was your idea too. I was so reluctant on putting the PDF out, and all I appreciate you. Let me tell you, like I do appreciate you and the things that you are helping me and motivating me to do. I don't really look for motivation because what I say about that is just like I have I have a child, I have a wife. Like
Mm,
motivation, there's nothing outside of that
yeah.
that I need to motivate. But you came out of it like I don't know like what why you wanted to do that for me, but I do appreciate it. Why you wanted to recommend those things and kind of help me and be, you know, that guiding light in that way.
You're welcome because you're awesome, Chris. It's
I,
simple.
I appreciate that. Sorry.
You're welcome. Please, please. That's nothing. Trust. Trust. We're all out here winning. I love
For
it.
sure.
I
Yep.
love it. We're all out here winning. And I appreciate people who are giving. So I like to give back to people who are giving.
Yes.
That's what it is because it takes work to create this content, to share this information.
Yes,
What you
it does.
guys may not know is that Chris has over, I don't know how many hundreds of videos up on YouTube
I don't
sharing.
count them.
Yeah, it's a lot. I was going through it. It's a lot of
Really?
content. It's a lot of content. And you're constantly giving and giving and giving and giving and giving. That's huge.
It's
And you're
like,
helping a lot
yeah,
of
I
people
just try
out.
to find new ways. I'm just like, okay, what can I talk about? What can I talk about? And I'm just like, now I'm introducing different people on my channel, like you do. And I
Mhm.
think having a different perspective, even though I'm talking about the same thing, like we all say the same thing, but we say it differently, right? We all
Yeah,
have our life, but we live it differently. But
exactly.
these guys, like, I try to find, because I can't speak every language of every person. We all speak a different language, right? So I try to find people who speak a different language and talk differently than I do. Like I might talk more proper, but if someone slurs and does whatever and speaks ebonics and whatever, I don't care. Like I understand all that. Come on my channel. Like if I have to translate, I'll do it, right? But I don't want to make it seem like I'm only talking to, you know what I'm saying, one person. I'm talking to everybody.
Exactly.
I want to make
Exactly.
sure that everybody is like if everyone hears themselves in my channel,
Yep.
Right.
And that's why we are kindred spirits, because that's the same intention with this platform. Because I've always said it and I will continue to say it. The messenger matters.
For sure, it really
The
does.
messenger matters.
Yes, because there's some people I can talk to and be like, I'm not gonna listen to this guy.
Exactly.
You nerd. Like I'm just like, okay, like let me find somebody you will listen to. And I know those guys.
Exactly.
Fortunately enough, they rock with me. And I'm
Mhm.
just like, man, you like really, but I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate all the, you know what I'm saying, feedback and all the love and everything.
Keep it up, Chris.
Thank
So
you.
thank you so much for joining us tonight. With that in mind, guys, I will see you next week. Until next time, make sure to click the link below for those who are watching the replay and follow Chris on his YouTube channel because he's giving awesome content. For those on the Instagram land, if you haven't already done so, click the link above and go follow Chris on his page as well. He's sharing a lot of great, good vibes and good information.
Yes.
All right, guys. So until next time, bye.